Dave, we normally ask players to turn their phones off during interviews,
Yes.
but yours is on for a very special reason today. Tell me why that is.
Well, we're expecting our firstborn any day now, so I'm sat here with phone on loud, vibrate. 3 other phones in the squad on like high alert. So at any point the call might come, and I'll be in the car and back off down to Bath.
Speaking to the players about the last Six Nations, a lot of people reference Joe Launchby's tap tackle against Ireland and then the roar of the crowd, but your single-handed turnover at a maul in that game was also quite important. What are your memories of that moment?
I think the whole Six Nations for me was a bit of a blur. Joe Launchby's tap tackle was probably a highlight of the game for most people. I think myself included. Really, it's elements like that which really stand out in a game.
Do you think your turnover though is no less pivotal at a crucial time in the game?
I'm sure. Yeah, I would be happy to take credit, but I could also argue Davey Wilson scrummaging 5 metres out, and like any other number of instances, we basically, when you get an opportunity to affect the game, it's important that you take it, and any one that you do take or don't take could end up being the difference between winning and losing the game. So that can sometimes be a small thing to how a proper lift in a line out, and whether the ball is turned over because of that, or whether Joe Launchby tracks back 60 metres and there's a tap tackle on the edge of the pitch. And those kind of incidents, while one will seem obviously much more memorable and no less important.
You mentioned the small moments. Would you fair to say that your role's been cameos off the bench recently, albeit crucial? Is that how you've seen it recently?
I think I've made a lot of my foray in England colours from the bench. I'm not interested in kind of pigeonholing myself into that role. I think it's more important to be able to do those kind of great impact instances over 80 minutes. That's the aim for me, to kind of illustrate to the coaches here and the other players here that I can do that kind of thing, not just for half an hour or 20 minutes, but for 80 minutes, and kind of illustrate my worth in this setup.
What have you worked on then, and what have you perhaps improved on in the last 6 months or so that's prompted this form?
In recent years, I've become well known as an aggressive defender. I think that's something I'm quite proud of. And I think when I first came onto the scene, I was quite an exciting second row with ball in hand. And over the past 5 or 6 years, I've kind of drifted a bit more into the kind of the detail defensively, organisationally, running line out, set piece, that kind of thing, and it's taken me a little bit away from the kind of happy-go-lucky player that I was when I turned up. So I've tried to kind of reinvent myself a little bit in the mould of where I first started playing regularly in the Premiership, and that has partially involved being a little bit more selfish, not necessarily be unaccommodating for other people, but to promote myself a little bit more, but also to lose a little bit of weight, which, while will detract from the ballast I can offer a scrum and a maul, and possibly some of the power I can generate in a tackle, hopefully by this stage my technique is sufficient that I can kind of make up for that loss, and that will allow me to get around the field a little bit quicker and get some more instances on the board.
Is that in direct conjunction with the England coaches and the Bath coaches? Is that the decision made as a collective?
Yes, yeah, I think it's a decision first and foremost that was made by me. I felt like I needed to make a dramatic change if I was going to kind of restart the momentum that I started to generate in the Six Nations last year. And like I say, the Bath going so well at the minute is 100% why there are so many of us up here with England.
Tell me a bit about the midfield axis of George Ford, Kyle Eastman and Jonathan Joseph, and what they've offered this year.
Well, it's exciting, isn't it? There's nothing better for me than getting my face peeled out from between Webb's and Davies' butt cheeks, and they're off running upfield doing something awesome. What I want to do is get from the scrum and see awesome stuff. And when they get the ball, that kind of stuff happens. They've got a great understanding of each other. They work really, really well, and they're all exciting players. George is getting loads of line breaks because everyone's so worried about Kyle and JJ, and Kyle and JJ are getting so many line breaks because of Kyle and JJ. So I'd love to see them, the three of them, line up 10, 12, 13 for England. I'm not sure what the coach's views are, but it would be an incredibly exciting thing to see. I certainly think from an attacking sense, they've pretty much got every tool in the armoury.
Finishing with perhaps another man who's got all the tools seemingly, Samisa Bogadaguni, who's here as well. We've all seen what he can do on the pitch this year, but tell me a bit about the bloke and the person, because he seems like an interesting character.
He's such an interesting bloke, Rocco. He doesn't talk a lot, and you'd be forgiven for thinking that he doesn't speak very good English, because he speaks immaculate English, and he's actually quite dry. He's quite a funny bloke. They say to really compete mentally at the top of the game that you need to have had some real life experience. You need to have gone through some stuff, and some of the stories that he's got, some of his friends, the stories that they've got, 6-7 years in the army and touring Afghan and all that kind of stuff. We've met a lot of his regiment and climbed inside his tank. It's pretty overwhelming when you get to sit down and kind of find out a bit of the history of these guys.
Cheers, Dave. Thanks for your time, and good luck to you and your partner again.
Thanks very much. Cheers.